In the Beginning, Compelling Evidence for Creation and the Flood by Dr. Walt Brown. We will be taking a look at the Rupture Phase, and that is on page 135 of the flip book that you can get at hpt.rsr.org. Okay, the Rupture Phase. Centuries of tidal pumping, explained on page 136 and pages 603 and 604, in the subterranean chamber steadily increased its temperature and pressure. The subterranean water soon became supercritical, as explained on pages 136 and 37. Whoopsie. Page 136 and 137. Increasing heat losses in the chamber eventually balanced the constant heat input by tidal pumping, so temperatures and pressure no longer increased. The overlying crust was stretched just as a balloon is stretched by internal pressure. The pressure began with a deep crack at the Earth's surface. Because the stresses in tension cracks are concentrated at each end of the crack, both ends grew rapidly at about 3 miles per second. Within seconds, the crack penetrated down to the subterranean chamber and then followed the path of least resistance. The rupture probably completed its path around the Earth in about 2 hours. Initial stresses were largely relieved when one end of the crack ran into the path left by the other end. In other words, the crack traveled a path that intersected itself at a large angle, forming a T on the opposite side of the Earth from where the rupture began. That T can be seen inside the circle on page 46, on circle in figure 46 on page 122. As the crack raced around the Earth along a great circle path, the 60-mile thick crust opened like a rip in a tightly stretched cloth. Pressure in the subterranean chamber directly beneath the rupture suddenly dropped to nearly atmospheric pressure. This caused supercritical water to explode with great violence out of the 60-mile deep slit that wrapped around the Earth like the seam of a baseball. All along this globe circling rupture, whose path approximates today's mid-oceanic ridge, a fountain of water jetted hypersonically into and far above the atmosphere. Some of the water fragmented into an ocean of droplets that fell as torrential rain great distances away. This produced rain such as the Earth has never experienced before or after. Other jetting water rose above the atmosphere where it froze, then fell on various regions of the Earth as huge masses of extremely cold, muddy hail. That hail buried, suffocated, and froze many mammoths, including some mammoths. Suffocated and froze many animals, including some mammoths. For details, see Frozen Mammoths on page 275. The most powerful jetting water and rock debris escaped Earth's gravity and became the solar system's comets, asteroids, and meteoroids. For details, see The Origin of Comets on page 309 and The Origin of Asteroids, Meteoroids, and Trans-Neptune Objects on page 345. To understand the gigantic energy source that launched this material, one must study the origin of Earth's radioactivity on page 387. Carried up into the fountains were seeds and spores. Those that remained in the atmosphere settled for years after the flood, repopulating the plant kingdom globally. Flood phase. Oh. Okay, then we're going to move on to the flood phase. Okay, so those are the two. And so again, this was, what are we on? Page 135 and 136, I believe. Oh, 138. Okay, 135 and 138. And so we'll move on to the flood in the next phase. And again, these are available at hpt.rsr.org.